Hello. Hi, today I'm looking at this Ford Mondeo. This one is a crank, no start. It's already had somebody come out and look at it and tell them it's the fuel pump. This guy asked me, could I fit a fuel pump? But I want to check it first to make sure it is the fuel pump. So what I noticed was when I lifted up the seat, there was no power getting to the fuel pump. I can't get access straight to the fuel pump under the seat like you do in some cars. So what I've done is just gone for, there was two thick wires. I looked at the wiring diagram, knew which one I needed. I'm not getting any power. I'm also not getting any fault codes. Just looking at that in the scan tool whilst I'm talking to you. Gonna try it on the Ford side of the scan tool because that was the OBD side. Let's see what Ford say. Whilst I'm chatting to you, I'll see if there's any fault codes. Also, might be worth checking, because there was no power there, if I gave it power with a power probe, I could start the car. Or I could go to the fuse box and give the same wire, the fuel box under the passenger glove box. You could give it power there and the car would run whilst I'm giving it power. So, I know it's not going to make any difference fitting a fuel pump. So what I'm going to do is see why is it not starting, and I'm just wondering if it was a deliberate thing, like the fuel pump's been deactivated because maybe it thinks it's had a bump and deactivated it through the airbag or something like that. I'm going to check that first and keep looking at the screen because it asks me the next question, before it can do a diag on it. But I'll check it for codes in the engine and the airbag and maybe the body control module and see what we get. So what have we got here? System scan. So here it is doing its thing. ABS, body control module. Got blue lights. Not sure what that is because usually I've got, it just says it's scanned up there. Usually I got green or red. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. I hit the wrong thing maybe because they're just all blue. So it's working its way through them. I've got the powertrain control module, which is one that I'm interested in now. PCM. And the airbag, which would be SRS, whatever that is. Can't actually see it. Wonder if it's the restraint control module. Let's see if that's got anything. Key on, engine off. Let's see what's going on there. I know you used to get like an inertia switch that you could press to reset it when you get in a bump, and that was linked to the fuel pump, and now some cars don't have that, but you get it, it's nothing. Some cars, it's just for the fuse box, so it's nothing there. Let's go into the engine then. Powertrain control module. Can I activate the fuel pump this way? It's quite slow, this one. Might come back to you when it's there already. Okay, fault code. Just to check it first. So it's not starting, it's a crank no start. But I know, like I say, it runs if you power up the fuel pump. This time I'm using the Phoenix X-Link again. And pretty much just been using this lately. Fuel pump secondary circuit high. That could be a fault that I've generated. Secondary circuit high. Because of me powering it up with a power probe. Let's see if I clear that. Got a note of it, P0232. Let's see if it clears. That could be what I've created, that fault code. Just waiting for this to finish clearing the fault. Seems to take its time. It's gone, so maybe Yeah, maybe it's not that. Can I activate it? Let's see if we've got a chance. EGR air conditioning. No, I don't have that choice here. So, okay, I'll show you where I was at the car. No fault codes basically, apart from the one that I created. So, let's switch this off. I'm quite pleased with this tool so far though. It's been alright for me. So when I was at the back of the car, you can see these wires under the seat. There's no hatch to get through, but obviously I've had my probe in that big wire, and that matched the colours, and it's thick wire. It's two thick wires. There's also a black one, black and blue there. So it gets there for the pump, right? So even without a wiring diagram, you could test it. And I noticed that there's no power. But if I gave the power probe power there, the fuel pump ran and I could start the car. And then secondly, I came to here. I've got the fuse for it. It's that yellow fuse there that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 fuses up, and then we've got the same wire here. If I power that, there was no power. There's power at the fuse, and there's no power here. So then, that's where I'm at. But if I give it power here, it runs as well. So we know from here, this plug all the way to the back of the car, it's okay. And we know that we've got the power we need coming into the relay, but the relay for the fuel pump is inside here, soldered onto a circuit board. Okay, I'm inside the house, and it's not somebody new on the channel. I'm just wearing glasses, and I'll be 50, and my eyesight's not that good close up. So I've got the circuit board out of the car, and I'm just checking a few things, trying to make sense and see if there was anything I could do inside the circuit board. Okay, here I am back at this, on the inside of it. I've got the wiring diagram. So there's the fuel pump. There's that yellow wire I was showing you earlier. And here we've got 76, pin 76, fuse 22. And the fuse goes to the control and the load side of the relay. And the other side of the control that's grounded out is done by the module itself, by this unit itself. But this has got like double layer circuit boards. I don't mean that one and that one. I mean each side of this is different. It's multi-layered, so it's not so easy to find. And I can't say for sure now because I took the fuse out ready to do this test, but I've got a feeling now because I'm counting, it's 28 here. Fuse 28 it says on there. So 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. 22 is the one I want. I think the fuse could have been in there. I think the fuse could have been in the wrong spot. So it might be, can't say for sure. I'm going to go back to the car and just try it. I'll plug it in and try it with the fuse in the correct place. But here's what I was going to do. I've got continuity set here. So when I touch the other side of this, and it seems to be this relay right here, power, power, and there's one there, they all make a sound. When I touch the other relays, they don't. So that fuse 22 definitely comes to this side, and it doesn't go to any other fuses. So I know that I'm not on that row, isn't the power into the fuse box side. But I can't find any other relay. That's powered up apart from this one. But I don't get why there's 3. One of those 3 would have to change. Actually, here's the output from here. This big track, see, because I found in the same thing, the same kind of test here on 76. If I could get that on there. If I put that on 76, like that. What am I doing? Goes onto the multimeter. Right, here we go. Trying to do it one-handed. I think I'm on the right pin. It was the corner one, so it's a bit of a guess, but yeah, that comes out here. And then this track goes and snakes its way around here and it's this big fat one. So that corner's the outlet from the relay. That would be the outlet of the relay. And then we've got, it's not going to have continuity now because I've disconnected it, but if I go back into the other side of the relay where the fuse is, into it, and remember the fuse does the control and the load. So one of these, I would say this big fat snaky one here has to be the power in. Maybe, could be wrong, but we've got that one and that one. We've got 3 powers in and one with no power. So what would happen is when we find one of these 3 has to change, and I can go and put it in the car, plug it in, and see which one of those 3 changes from power to ground when I prime the car. And if one of those does change, we know that it's getting the command to start, but it's just not starting. And then it's just a faulty relay. Right, I'm back to the car, but that fuse was in the wrong place. And maybe I should have checked the fuse location, but I just seen the yellow fuse. That's roughly about right. When I quickly counted from 28, somebody's put the fuse in the other place, which makes me think there must have been a fault for somebody to remove a fuse. So it's still a fault anyway as far as I'm concerned. I might have to maybe put a pico scope on it with an amp clamp on a wire and see, do I have a break, like one of the segments in the fuel pump that maybe it's going to stick sometime. Don't know, it may still be back to needing a fuel pump, but the reason it wouldn't go is because the fuse today is because the fuse was in the wrong place. I'm just going to quickly show you if I prime it. Well, I can't show you, but you might hear it. I'll prime it. Don't know if you heard that. That was the pump priming. I got it plugged in there. I might just see on the power probe which one it is, the one that I need now that I'm here, but I really don't need to go that far. But I could see which was the control side, and then if I had to, I could maybe remove the cover, the square plastic cover, and just solder in a new relay. You know, but I don't need to because it's not the relay, it's working. The fuse was in the wrong place. Maybe I should have checked that first, the fuse was in the actual location. So some of this is on me. But the testing method's still relevant if you wanted to do it. We know how to back probe and find out which relay it is. I'll show you something else I was just thinking about. So here's that relay, something that I noticed, if I can get the light on it. That relay there, that pin at the bottom corner near to us, and the bottom corner there, those 2 pins, but they're on the same track. So that must be going to the load side and the control side, power in. That one where the yellow dot is, there's the power out on the load side, so it only leaves this one where the top of that yellow dot must be the control side for the grounding it out to make it work. So I kind of figured out which one's which on there just by looking at it. It is frustrating that it's all because somebody's took the fuse out, but I want to know why they've done that, because you wouldn't do that for no reason. It was the AA, apparently, came out and told him he needs a fuel pump, but then it's never gone since, and I noticed that only just now was in the wrong place. There was power on both sides of it, so I kind of moved on from there. And maybe I shouldn't have done. But if I find out where this power there goes into, right there, if that track goes to one of these pins in here, in theory you could just put a relay, you know, find out which wire it is, and you've got your in and you've got your load out. You've got the control in and the load out through those wires. One was the yellow wire. If that track goes to one of these pins to control the control side, to ground it out, you could maybe externally just fit a relay. But that's not the problem in this case, because I heard it prime. I don't know if you did, but now what I want to do is take that fuse out, fit an amp clamp, one of those attachments in here, so I can fit an amp clamp think it's a standard, no, it's a small fuse, so it'll be that one. And I'll put my scope and prime it and see what does the waveform look like. Are all the segments okay? Why would the fuel pump stick at some time? In case you were wondering, I found this pin there in the top corner and this pin. Both have continuity to the control side that I was talking about. But remember, that's going through a coil, so the continuity could be going right through that to something else. But there we go. They're also going to that. So now I'm going to build this up like I said and put it in the car with this, set up a Pico and see what the waveform looks like. Now I got the Pico set up and I'm going to go down that wire and see. So if I change this up here to an amp clamp, so we'll go to probes and we find the probe that we've got and we're going to use the 2060, right? I'll go for, maybe go for 20 for now, right? And that's this one in there. That's that one set up to 20 amps. Then we can switch this on to 20 amps. Zero it. This is a Handtech, but it'll work on that. Put it around the wire. Then I'll go round. Let's just loop around the wire. I'll go round and start the car and see what the waveform looks like. I'm going to use this Handtech clamp and the Pico to see when I prime it. Is there something missing? Because if I have one segment that's missing on this waveform, it could be on occasions, it could just land the motor in that place and it's not going to start. But looking at this, it looks pretty even. Although this is inverted, I've got the clamp upside down, which is not really a problem. So basically, there's nothing uneven there. I'm looking for something, you know, that's breaking away. So if we zoom in, you see that there's nothing really. So the top of this waveform would be the lower amps, and the bottom bit of the waveform would be the higher. They could have redone it again and inverted it. But if we look at the top, if there was a spike going higher towards the center of the screen, that would indicate a bad segment, because that would be less amperage flow, you know, less current flow. It would be maybe the bad segment if we saw a spike at the top of the screen. And yeah, I'm not seeing anything that stands out massive there, but I think looks pretty even. Maybe I've got to start the car and watch it and look for a segment to drop out with less current flow, because that's the only way I think this could be an intermittent. Actually, there's one starting just there, a spike on the top of the screen, and it's going again, it's evening out. But there was one, for a while there was one spike heading more towards the center of the screen, which would have indicated less current flow. So maybe it is. Okay, looking at that screenshot with a Pico, it was quite subtle at first. I couldn't see anything, but then when I had a look and I noticed one segment, it was the same space every time on that pump, was going higher, but because I was inverted, it meant the amps would have been going down, which means there would have been no current flow, which means at times that pump has a bad contact in one segment, intermittent bad contact in one segment. And maybe on times that pump is just switched off where that is in the position that it ends up, and when you start the car it's not going to spin it because it's parked itself on a bad segment. I think it wasn't there for long. I expected to see something like that there all the time, but maybe that's it. Maybe we found the problem and the AA was correct. They were right after all. It's going to need a pump to fix that. It's early days, so it's not a problem all the time, but I didn't see it when I revved the engine. I just saw it for a little bit when it was ticking over and it started to raise or reduce the current flow, because I was looking at it inverted. But I think that was interesting enough, and without the Pico I may not have noticed that. So definitely the way to go with that one. So whoever looked at it was right in saying it needs a pump, but they just put the fuse in the wrong place, and I started looking at it thinking, no, it's not the pump, because it was working when I got there. And when wasting time and chasing things because of the fuse fairies. But yeah, I think it's maybe the pump's getting worse. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get itself any better. So we need to get something for, need to get a pump in it for that one segment that at times had less current flow. So I think that's not going to be a wire. It'll be like that all the time. It was the same space every time. I didn't see it for long before it sort of evened out again. So maybe if it goes fast enough, it's spinning so quick you don't get a chance to capture the breakdown in the resistance. So yeah, I found the Pico was crucial in this case. How to diagnose it, my methods were fine. With if it was a relay, that would have been how to test the relay. I could have even used a 9-volt battery or a power probe when I had the circuit board opened up, when I knew which two wires it was and which was the control one. I could have just powered it off the car and seen if it clicked, or seen if I had continuity the other way. Didn't need to do that in the end. So I can tell the customer, yes, it is a faulty pump. It's starting to go. It's on its way out. We'd be as well fitting one before it leaves you stranded somewhere. So hopefully it's helpful to somebody. And thanks for watching.